What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, and today, previewing the New York Giants 2025 season training camp right around the corner. This time next week, I'll be hitting you guys with training camp practice reports, takeaways, and updates, and all that stuff. And I can't wait. Giants football is almost back. It's been a long wait. It's been a slow offseason over the past few weeks. It's been quiet. Prior to that, obviously, there was a lot of noise. The Giants had a great free agency period, had an awesome 2025 NFL draft. But since then, after OTAs and minicamp ended, it's been quiet. But now, training camp finally on the horizon, and just a few more episodes previewing this team before we get into all the training camp practices and stuff here on the channel. And I'm really excited for that. But today, I want to talk once again about this defensive line. We've done a lot of discussions on the Giants pass rushers, and I'm going to do that once again today because I truly believe that they have the potential to do something that's near unprecedented at the NFL level. Now, in the title, it says unprecedented. It's technically near unprecedented, and I'll explain why in just a second. But I do think this defensive line has potential to be something truly special, even close to generational, and I'll explain all of that throughout this. But before I dive into it, I just want to say a couple of things. First and foremost, thank you to everybody who's been showing support on the channel throughout the past few weeks. Again, it has been slow, but some of you are still in the comment section on every single episode. So shout out to you who have been consistently viewing and tuning in and supporting. It means the world to me, and I really do appreciate it. Also, shout out to my good friend JC37, just dropped his mixtape. Go stream it on Spotify. And also shout out to a viewer of the channel, Orlando, who I met yesterday at an Apple store. Thank you for all of your support, and I'm looking forward to some of those Giants fan club watch parties later this year in South Florida. So can't wait for that. And hey, if any of you are interested in potential watch parties here in South Florida, if you happen to live here, come hang out, watch a game with me and some other Giants fans. Let me know. Shoot me a DM on Twitter, and obviously stay tuned to the channel because there will be more information on that on the horizon. But let's talk about this Giants defensive line. I have some really high expectations for this unit, as I think we all do, and I have some really exciting statistics to share on this unit and why I think it could rival one of the best defensive lines that's ever graced the football field in NFL history. In NFL history, only one team has had 4 players each reach double-digit sacks in a single season. That team was the Philadelphia Eagles in 2022. Boo, Philadelphia. Obviously, we hate the Eagles, but we do have to give them credit here because they are the only team in NFL history that has accomplished this. They had Hassan Reddick go for 16 sacks. Javon Hargrave had 11 sacks. Josh Sweat had 11 sacks. And Brandon Graham had 11 sacks. Statistically, on paper, that's probably the best pass rush that the NFL has ever seen, considering, again, they are the only team to ever have 4 individuals cross the double-digit sack threshold. But honestly, guys, I'm looking at this Giants defensive line here. They've got 4 tremendous pass rushers themselves. I think they have the potential to be the second team in NFL history to go ahead and have 4 players reach double-digit sacks. Let's start off with the big man in the middle, Dexter Lawrence. Dexter Lawrence last season was having easily the best season of his career. Had he not gotten injured, he would have easily put up double-digit sacks, and I think really could have pushed for the Defensive Player of the Year award. He had 9 sacks through 12 games, which is a career high. He was pacing out to easily go over 10 sacks, and honestly, he probably could have pushed towards the 13 total sack range or even higher, depending on how those final games went down the stretch of the season. When Dexter Lawrence got injured and missed the rest of the year, the Giants' defense in some ways kind of fell apart. The run defense took a massive hit anytime Lawrence was off the field, and I'm not even talking about just when he had the season-ending injury, but prior to that, because he is a nose tackle and he does rotate. He doesn't play every single snap of every single game. But when he was off the field at times last year, opposing offenses were like, oh, no Dexter Lawrence in the middle? Let's run it up the middle and let's get 8 yards of pop. That's essentially how it went for the Giants last season. The run defense took major hits whenever he was off the field. And so making sure that he's healthy and rotating him in and out of the lineup so he can maintain his health is going to be crucial for the Giants this season. And I also think it's going to lead to fresher legs and more stamina on the field and more energy to get that double-digit sack threshold finally for the first time in his career as he enters year 7. The Giants have more depth now. They have Darius Alexander, the rookie who they selected in the 3rd round, who's going to rotate in on this defensive line, probably going to play a starting role on this defensive line. But they have some other talented players behind these guys that I like. I mean, Jordan Riley as well, former 7th-round pick for the New York Giants out of Oregon, has not really made a tremendous impact so far, has really struggled to earn his playing time so far in his NFL career. But I spoke with the trainer, Mark Hall, who I interviewed on the channel. You guys can go ahead and check out that interview. It was tremendous. But when I interviewed him, I didn't only ask him about Dexter Lawrence, who he's training right now, or Darius Alexander, but he also talked about Jordan Riley and the tremendous strides that Riley is making so far this summer as he prepares for this upcoming season and looks to be the best version of himself. And I'm not saying that that's going to be like the 5th guy for double-digit sacks, nothing crazy like that, but I do think Jordan Riley potentially taking some strides forward and developing, as well as Darius Alexander being a young player who can develop on this defensive line, having some guys that can actually contribute on this D-line moving forward. Elijah Chapman's another one who obviously we really liked last summer and who ended up making an impact in certain games last season. Having a rotation here can allow the Giants to keep Dexter Lawrence fresh and healthy. And I think that's going to be big time going into 2025 as, health is going to be a crucial aspect of this defense. They dealt with quite a few injuries last season and it really set them back. But if they can keep Dexter Lawrence and these other 3 pass rushers that we're going to discuss all healthy this season, then yes, I think there is a chance all of them could crack that double-digit sack threshold. In fact, some of them were not far off from it last year. So Big Sexy Dexy, you guys know he is the New York Giants' best player. He is, I think, the best defensive lineman, interior defensive lineman in all of football. And I think he's really going to prove that this year. He's going to finally crack double-digit sacks, in my opinion. I think the presence of these other guys on the defensive line are going to open things up even more for Dexter Lawrence. I don't think he's going to receive a lot of one-on-one opportunities because he's Dexter Lawrence and teams are constantly going to double team him, but he still gets home on some of those double teamed reps and he still gets sacks anyways. And also the fact that he's going to be doubled and triple teamed at times means that all these other pass rushers that are really talented are going to get home and get theirs and get their sacks. So I think it's going to be a really fun year for this Giants defensive line. And, like I said, Dexter Lawrence, I think, has a really good chance of running up those double-digit sacks and maybe even being the defensive player of the year this season. I think the Giants have to have some overall team success at a higher level in order for any of their players to realistically receive any hardware, because there has to be proof that their performance is translating to success for the team and to wins in order to win those awards. But Dexter Lawrence definitely has defensive player of the year potential, and I'm really excited to see him perform in this defense with all of that talent around him on this defensive line to a level that he's never had surrounding him at any point before in his NFL career. So before we move on from Dexter Lawrence, though, I just want to give a shout out to this t-shirt, the T-Dex t-shirt. It's really cool. I hope you guys do like it. You can get these over on empiresportsmedia.com. I'll drop the link down below in the comment section, but I just want to give a shout out to my guy, Danny. He does all the graphics on the channel. So you see these with Dexter and Abdul Carter here and the thumbnails and a lot of the stuff for social media as well. Follow us at Fireside Giants. But I just want to give a shout out to Danny because we can't do FSG without him and he's the GOAT. And so I just want to show him some appreciation here. Give him a shout out for the awesome design that he put together on this t-shirt and tell you guys to go get one because they are really cool. And I think that we should all be rocking them for Big Sexy Dexy this season. All right, let's talk about some of these pass rushers that the Giants have. I want to start with Abdul Carter because as the rookie number 3 overall pick that the Giants selected this year, tremendous expectations for him and tremendous potential. You watch the kid play, whether you're watching highlights, whether you're casually watching a game or you're watching the film, no matter what, he pops. He stands out and he wows you. A lot of that is because of his pure athleticism. He's an absolute freak. He's a specimen, however you want to describe him. He's a monster. And that gives him potential to be something truly special at the next level because, and this is the best way I can break it down for you, as a pass rusher, there's 2 aspects of being a good pass rusher, so to speak, right? Physical acumen and technical ability. Some pass rushers enter the NFL from college with a lot of technical ability, but they don't necessarily have that otherworldly athleticism, so their ceiling is a little bit limited. It's the opposite with Abdul Carter. His ceiling is sky high and unlimited because he has all of the talent athletically and physically in the world, and he almost doesn't know what to do with it technically just yet. He's only got 1 season as an edge rusher in his collegiate career. Prior to that, he was an off-ball linebacker. And at the off-ball linebacker position, Penn State used his athleticism to their advantage. They had him run around and do a lot of tricky things and pass rush as well, but drop into coverage and use that speed and QB spy, all of those great things. But then they moved him over to the edge and realized that athletic ability is almost unstoppable for certain offensive tackles. They do not possess the athleticism required to slow down Abdul Carter. But now, enter the NFL, Abdul Carter. Get with a great defensive line coach like Andre Patterson, who is, of course, the defensive line coach for the New York Giants, that has been credited for a lot of the development of Dexter Lawrence. Pair Carter with Patterson and see what happens. Now, can he learn some of these technical things? Can he add some of these pass rushing moves so he's not just constantly winning with pure athleticism? Because he will win with pure athleticism. He will get sacks because he is an athletic freak. But if he can win with athleticism and win with pass rushing moves and technical ability, you're talking about a guy whose ceiling is unlimited. You're talking about a guy who should perennially go for double-digit sacks and be akin to the likes of Defensive Player of the Year candidates every single season, like a Micah Parsons, who he often gets compared to for many reasons. He gets compared to Parsons, of course, because they both wear number 11, or at least did in college. They both went to Penn State. So you could see the physical resemblance because they're both big, stocky guys and freakish athletes, but they also get comparison because of their unique skill set, moving from the off ball to the edge and all of those kinds of things. But if you think about how Micah Parsons was implemented into that Cowboys defense, formerly Dan Quinn, who's obviously now the head coach of the Commanders, but was the DC of the Cowboys when Parsons was a rookie, formerly Dan Quinn running that defense, had Parsons playing a very versatile role. He would line up on the interior. He would line up on the edge. He would drop it back into the off-ball linebacker position, move just all over the defense. And that's what the Giants are going to need to do with Abdul Carter because they've got talent elsewhere. They have two starting edge rushers in Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeaux. They have some good interior defenders with Dexter Lawrence, now Darius Alexander. Rakeem Nunez-Roches is a starting caliber player. Jeremiah Ledbetter, who they signed this offseason, a very underrated signing, in my opinion, a guy who's going to play, I think, a significant role on the interior of that defensive line. They've got talent out there. So how do you maximize the talent of a guy like Abdul Carter? You create advantages for him. You move him around the defense. You place him in opportunities that are advantageous to his skill set. And again, that's what Dan Quinn did for Micah Parsons as a rookie. And the results, well, they were more than promising. Micah Parsons went easily for double-digit sacks as a rookie. And I think Abdul Carter has the potential to do that as well. Currently, in the Giants record books, the single-season rookie sack record holder is actually Azeez Ojulari with only 8.5 sacks. But unofficially, the record holder is the GOAT, Lawrence Taylor. He had 9.5 sacks as a rookie before they officially started counting sacks as a statistic in the NFL. So in his second season, his sacks were an official stat, but as a rookie, the 9.5 is an unofficial record held by Lawrence Taylor. However, I think that Abdul Carter is going to send a message to the league by breaking Lawrence Taylor's record as a rookie, which is just, I mean, what better way to start off your career with the New York Giants than beating a rookie record for the greatest New York Giant in the history of the franchise? That's what I think Abdul Carter is going to do. I think he's got the talent to be a double-digit sack guy every single season of his career. Now, obviously, we've bought into tremendous talent in the top 10 before as Giants fans. We saw Kayvon Thibodeaux get drafted 5th overall, and we said similar things. We thought that he would be a double-digit sack guy perennially. He's done it once before, and we're going to talk about how he can do it again. Done it once before, hasn't done it consistently, but I do think Carter's different because Carter possesses a level of athleticism that I'm not sure more than 3 other edge rushers in this league possess. He is that freakish athletically. Like if you remember when Micah Parsons ran that 4.4 40-yard dash or whatever, Abdul Carter didn't do any of those workouts at the combine, but if he did, I bet you his numbers would have been comparable to Micah Parsons. And he's got the demeanor. He wants to beat quarterbacks up. He wants to beat offensive linemen up, and he'll beat them with speed. He'll beat them with power now that he's in the NFL, and he's going to learn how to use his skill set and really refine it a little bit more. I think Abdul Carter is going to be a truly special player for the New York Giants. So I just got goosebumps. I just got excited and pumped up talking about Carter. I hope you guys got excited as well hearing me talk about Abdul Carter. But yeah, really looking forward to seeing this rookie burst onto the scene for the New York Giants this season. So I'm going to round out this discussion with the Giants' 2 pass rushers, edge rushers, who started for the team last season. with some inconsistent success is how I'm going to describe it. I think Brian Burns had a very good season. I do think that there was room for improvement, absolutely, as there was for every New York Giants player last season. They finished 3-14, tied for the worst record in the NFL, but hopefully that doesn't happen again this year. But Brian Burns still, despite playing through injuries, despite all of the bad stuff that was happening around him on this Giants defense, Dexter Lawrence being knocked out of the lineup, the secondary not being able to cover long enough to allow the pass rush to get home. Despite all of this, still put up 8.5 sacks, which is among the highest totals of his career. He's only reached the double-digit sack threshold once in his career, which was in 2022. He had 12 and a half. But if you really look at the career that Brian Burns has had, playing with the Carolina Panthers for 5 seasons and just being stuck on a lot of bad football teams, you imagine that if he was playing on a better team with a better defense around him, we know that he's a physical talent. We know that he's a really good pass rusher, and he does things that inexperienced guys are not capable of. Brian Burns has tremendous potential, definitely does have the double-digit sack potential, but unfortunately, he just hasn't been in a situation where he can be maximized. Last season, like I said, he did play through a lot of injuries admirably, I'll add. He started all 17 games for the New York Giants, which feels like a miracle considering every single week, I think we were talking about him being on the injury report at practice. He was dealing with, I think, Achilles injuries at one point, groin injuries, maybe even hamstring. He was banged up a lot last year. Still, Giants pride, Giants way, got himself onto the football field. I admire that. I appreciate that. I think that it speaks to his leadership. It's a testament to his character and his work ethic to, despite the fact that the Giants were in a lost season amidst the 10-game losing streak, to still get on the field week in and week out, do your job, and do it at the highest level possible. I admire Brian Burns for that, and I think that he is the definition of a New York Giant because of that. And I do think that that hard work that he put in last year will be rewarded this season. Last year, especially with Kayvon Thibodeaux banged up, he only played in 12 games. He was in and out of the lineup. Brian Burns was really singled out on this Giants defensive line. I know that we've talked a lot about how there was talent on this Giants defense last year, but how often was all of that talent fully healthy on the field together at the same time? A couple times early in the season, like when they had that sack party against the Cleveland Browns, I think we saw a glimpse of the potential of this defensive line. Now it'll be even better with Abdul Carter, which is the scary part for opposing offenses. But how often did we really see all of these guys take the field together, right? Because there were times where Brian Burns was banged up, and maybe he was on the field at the same time as Kayvon Thibodeaux, but maybe Dexter Lawrence was already out of the lineup with a season-ending injury, or maybe Kayvon Thibodeaux wasn't even on the field, and Brian Burns was, and he was banged up. So it was basically him and a banged-up Azeez Ojulari, if Ojulari was even out there. He also suffered an injury last season. There were times where the pass rushing core was literally Brian Burns and a bunch of guys that you've never heard of last season. So the fact that he still pushed for 8.5 sacks, which was an improvement on the 8 sacks that he had in 2023. He had a career high 71 combined tackles. He had 17 tackles for loss, which tied a career high. I thought he was tremendous against the run last year. Not enough people actually gave him credit for that. I know the Giants' run defense wasn't great, but again, we were talking about a unit that was basically Brian Burns by himself versus the world, and not even a fully healthy Brian Burns against the world. So I came away impressed with Brian Burns last season. It wasn't the year that we wanted as Giants fans from any of our players, but I just think it was really admirable the way he fought through all the injuries and adversity around him. And I do think this season it'll pay off because I think this Giants team is going to be better this year. And I think when you're better, it's because you have better depth and you're allowed to rotate these guys and keep them healthy. So I think we're going to get healthier seasons from all of these pass rushers. And I think we'll, as a result, get more productive seasons from all of them as well. I think that Brian Burns can definitely push to the double-digit sacks. Again, just because there's going to be more talent around him, I think he's going to be healthier. And I think with this defensive coverage unit, the secondary being better as well, there's going to be more opportunities where the quarterback is standing in the backfield for a little longer than he was last season. Pocket collapses, and now instead of pressures for Burns and Thibodeaux and Lawrence and Carter as well, I think some of those some more of those pressures will be converted into sacks. And I think that's a big conversation for Kayvon Thibodeaux specifically. I think when you look at his career over the last several seasons, it's been a lot of ebbs and flows. As a rookie in 2022, he only had 4 sacks, but we praised him because he had a lot of pressures that year. He got into the backfield rather consistently, disrupted a lot of passes, didn't convert those pressures into sacks all that often, but we thought, okay, as a rookie, that was a good first step. Now he needs to expand on it. In 2023, what was weird is that his sack totals significantly increased. He brought it up to 11 and a half, hit that double-digit sacks, but his pressure rate went down quite significantly. So he got after the quarterback less frequently. When he was there, he converted at a higher rate, but didn't get in the backfield or didn't bring the quarterback down in the backfield as often as we would have liked. And there were games in 2024 where it felt like Kayvon Thibodeaux wasn't even on the field. Now, he missed 5 games, and that had a tremendous impact on his stat sheet. He had 5.5 sacks, but if he was there for 17, he was on pace for 8 sacks, which is a much more respectable total. But even still, the pressures went down for Thibodeaux last year, and so did the pressure to sack rate. He didn't get in the backfield as often, and he didn't get as many sacks. I think there was a few factors at play. Like I said, the pass coverage unit was really poor. The injuries that he was playing through really hampered his ability to perform, and the injuries around him. There were times, like I said, with Burns, since he played all 17 games, where he was the only capable pass rusher really on the field. But there were also times where Burns was out there banged up, and they were able to kind of ease off of him and focus on Thibodeaux, and neither one of them was at full strength and able to get home. So again, this season, now that you've got a guy like Dexter Lawrence who commands double teams, you've got a guy like a rookie in Abdul Carter who's probably going to immediately command double teams. And there are going to be times where they need to double team Burns because he's wreaking havoc. And then they're going to need to double team Thibodeaux because there's going to be games where he goes off. Think about that Ravens game where he had the game-winning strip sack in his rookie season. Think about in 2023 when he had the forced strip sack in big-time game. I think he had 2 or 3 sacks in that game against the Commanders. Forced a fumble on a strip sack and then recovered it and scored a touchdown himself. He has the potential. He has flashed potential. But going into year 4, it's no longer about flashing potential. It's about reaching that potential, realizing it, and being a consistent performer on Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, and sometimes random Saturdays that the NFL schedules you on. So, in summary, to wrap up everything that I've said, it's not completely unprecedented because one team, the 2022 Eagles, has done it before, has reached double-digit sacks for 4 pass rushers. But other than them, nobody else has been able to accomplish it. But all of the talent on this Giants defensive line has the potential to do it. I could easily see any one of these 4 players going for double digits. I think at least 2 of them will. I think all 4 of them will flirt with double-digit sacks, and I do think there is a potential for all 4 of them to reach double-digit sacks. The other factors at play here, other than just the talent on the defensive line and obviously the health of it, that is going to influence this. Number 1, the pass coverage needs to be better, and I think it will be with the additions of Paulson Adebo, Javon Holland, and some of the other players that are reaching the second season of their career, Tyler Nubin, of course, Drew Phillips. I think the secondary is going to be better, and I think the pass rush is going to have more time to operate and get home to the quarterback as a result, which is exciting. But also, I think the offense is going to be better, and I think that's going to help the defense out. Not enough, I think, has been said about how poorly the Giants offense performed and how that impacted the defense. We've talked about how poorly the Giants offense performed. But have we talked enough about how that hurt the defense? There were times where you have a gassed Brian Burns who's playing through an injury on the field. The defense gives up a touchdown. All right. Or you know what? Let's actually say the defense forces a 3 and out. All right. Great stop. But then all of a sudden the offense goes 3 and out and the defense is right back on the field. The lack of prolonged drives from the Giants offense resulted in the wear and tear of the Giants defense. But this season, with Russell Wilson having the ability to at least string together some long drives with a running back room that features Tracy, Scattaboo, Singletary, and hopefully improved offensive line and healthier offensive line play in front of them, with this offense hopefully being able to sustain and prolong some drives and get from one red zone to the other red zone, I do think this Giants defense is going to be a major benefactor of that as they stay healthier, have more energy, and have more time to break in between the possessions that they are finding themselves on the field. So I just think all of the factors are trending upwards for the Giants after a really productive and solid offseason. You guys know I've praised Joe Shane for a great offseason, but I think it's all going to be a major payoff this year when we do see this defensive line take the field and have some tremendous performances. I think we're going to see games where all 4 of these guys record a sack, and it's going to be a lot of fun, not only to discuss with you guys here on Fireside Giants, but to react to the live, since we're going to be doing those live game streams this year. And so before I wrap this up on that point, stay tuned to that, guys. Stay tuned over the next week or so. We are going to be rolling out our 25,000 subscriber special. I can't thank you guys enough for that milestone. It's really incredible. I haven't discussed it a lot on the channel just yet because I want to thank you guys for it properly and really do something special. And that's what I'm going to do in the coming weeks. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. But on top of that, other announcements for you. Stay tuned on the horizon for the announcement of game live streams. That's going to start in the preseason. I'm going to start reacting to these games live and discussing them and watching them with you guys here on the channel. And also, as a reminder, the Bezara Music Festival is the first weekend of the NFL season, and I will be there doing live Fireside Giants shows at the music festival. You guys can get a ticket. Use code BIGBLUE at checkout, and go ahead. I'll put the link for that down below as well. Get some tickets to the Bezara Music Festival. Really good music, a good time over there in Keansburg, New Jersey, on the beach. And also, I'll be there to talk Giants and hang out with you guys. You can meet me as well. And on that Sunday, week 1, watch the Washington Commanders versus New York Giants matchup with me at a restaurant. Private viewing. It's going to be a blast. So, guys, just stay tuned for all that. Make sure you do check it out, and we're going to be promoting it more. And, hey, I mentioned that I'm going to be there. So is Chris the Entertainer, who I know you guys all know and love. So just stay tuned. We've got a lot of fun stuff planned for this channel and a lot of great announcements. 25K is a hell of a milestone, but I really want to reach 30K by the end of the year somehow. It's not easy to go up 5,000 subscribers, but I think the Giants are going to be better this year. I think our content is going to be everything you guys have ever asked for it to be. We've got so much great stuff planned, and I'm just excited. So share it with your friends. Let them know to sub to Fireside Giants, and obviously stay tuned yourselves because we've got a lot of fun stuff in store. So really looking forward to it all. See you guys next week up in New Jersey as well. I will be there for a couple of training camp practices. Just waiting to get the confirmation on these tickets, but a big shout out to, and let me pull up his name before I wrap this up and give him a proper thank you. Shout out to Fireside Giants viewer T McQueen is his name on Instagram. So shout out to you and thank you for hooking us up with some tickets. Really, really do appreciate that, and really looking forward to seeing everybody at training camp in the coming weeks, really coming days now. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you're new, ring the bell so you don't miss an episode. Comment your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you're listening to Apple or Spotify, make sure to leave us a 5-star review and go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. Without further ado, I'll catch you on the next one. Have a good one, and let's go New York Giants. Scataboo!